levels that you would have to work your way through. This is exactly what I was talking about when I was talking about Elden Ring earlier. The level design is what draws the player into the experience and immerses them with a sense of purpose that leads to some kind of thematic conflict to overcome. Back when 3D consoles started to hit the market before the 7th generation, we saw a lot of this intentional design in the form of platforming. This inspired much of the action role-playing experience that would be integrated into level design going forward, especially after games like Ocarina of Time. I did a video earlier this year criticizing Tears of the Kingdom's gameplay loops and structures, comparing the franchise to its roots. The game is the perfect example of too much freedom and not enough structure.
No.
Level design is ultimately how the developer communicates their vision to the player, and it is also how we as gamers have shared experiences that bring us together as a community. I remember countless conversations I had with friends growing up about that one flood level in Halo, or the catacomb puzzles of Assassin's Creed 2. Much of that kind of relatable experience is lost these days, and it comes down to a lack of intentional structure. And sometimes it's not that the developers aren't trying, it's that the scope of their project is so large that they lose focus on the little details that make traversing through the world mean something. And I mean from a gameplay standpoint, not necessarily a
What if I told you a game outsold Call of Duty, outperformed Fortnite, and completely took over the gaming industry, only to get robbed by the Game Awards? Where the hell is Helldivers 2? No pun intended. Dear the Game Awards, kindly off. Sincerely, your fellow Helldivers. By now, you've probably heard about the controversy surrounding the 2024 Game Awards, but there is one fatal mistake that pissed me off the most. Helldivers 2 got snubbed. That's right. Remember that masterpiece that disrupted the entire gaming industry? Did you think that it should at least get nominated for Game of the Year? Nah, f you. We're taking Poker, a cute little robot, and a DLC expansion instead. With regards, the Shame Awards. Look, I understand the Game Awards can't make everyone happy with the results, but Helldivers 2 didn't just miss out. It got robbed, and this points to a broader issue. Indie game developers being unfairly overlooked in a AAA-dominated industry. So in this video, I'm breaking down why Helldivers 2 deserved to win Game of the Year, what the Game Awards got wrong, and how we as a community can easily fix this once and for all. So first, we have to go back to remind ourselves of how special the game truly is. If you didn't remember, Helldivers 2 quite literally took over the gaming industry not long after its release. Everyone was playing it, from the casual gamer to our favorite creators. Helldivers 2 had outsold Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 in 2024 and was even outperforming games like Fortnite on PSN. It's easy to forget this though. The game was made by a small indie developer team of about 100 people at Arrowhead Game Studios. I made a video on this that I recommend you watch after this one. But just think about this. A small indie team of 100 developers beat a massive AAA team of 3,000 developers with a game they worked on for over 7 years on an outdated engine. That should be impossible. But there's two key ways Arrowhead Games was able to do the impossible. One of the ways was simply the insanely fun gameplay loop. From shooting bugs to robots, to creating a real-time cinematic masterpiece, to making some of the funniest moments ever with your friends, this game was different.
Guys, I'm sitting here with an anti-tank and I see the civilians running and by God is that tempting.
Helldivers 2 brought back the magic that's been missing from the soulless AAA industry. It gave millions of players hope. Remember how fun the PS2 was? Remember how social the Xbox 360 and PS3 were? Helldivers 2 took me back to those days because of how amazing the community is, and that's why I ultimately fell in love with it. And I believe it's that old school immersive magic that made every player fall in love with it too. However, Helldivers 2 would suddenly be faced with adversity that, yet again, felt like an impossible hurdle to overcome. And that's exactly the second way Helldivers 2 did the impossible, by overcoming the impossible twice.
Oh my god.
What the f is this piece of shit?
Let's say you are the publisher in this situation. You miraculously have a game that goes way beyond expectations. Everything is going well and the players are happy. Would you then choose to kill all that momentum by pulling a stunt like this that is obviously going to piss everyone off, lead to review bombs, and cause your entire player base to demand refunds? No way, unless you're snorting G Fuel. But this is what Sony chose. Helldivers 2 should have died, but Arrowhead and the community somehow managed to get a AAA publisher to listen. That's like talking to a wall and it talking back. That's what I call spreading managed democracy. And for this reason alone, I say Helldivers 2 deserves at the very least a nomination for Game of the Year. But the Sony drama isn't the only impossible feat Helldivers 2 overcame. What would be the two-word phrase in gaming that you describe as it that shall not be named? I'll give you a hint. Live service. Okay, that wasn't a hint, I literally just gave the answer. But as you know, live service has become a model most gamers cringe at. Everything has to have a battle pass. Everything has to have microtransactions. And now every AAA developer has an excuse for releasing unfinished games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, because don't worry, we have new content on the way that will fix it, and definitely not break it even more. So when a live service game like Helldivers 2 comes along, consistently releasing war bonds for free, and enabling players to earn in-game currency by playing the game, it was such an FU to the rest of the AAA industry. It was a model for developers that most didn't think was possible anymore, putting the players over the profit. However, at one point, Arrowhead has shot themselves in the foot by nerfing pretty much everything in the game. Players were voicing their frustrations and leaving in droves again, so Arrowhead had to act quick. And ultimately, the developers listened to the community and did the impossible again. Helldivers 2 saw tons of buffs, and the player base was revived and having fun again. And the Steam reviews? They're officially back to overwhelmingly positive. Helldivers 2's impressive resume speaks as to why many of us fans are angry that the game didn't even get a nomination for Game of the Year when it so clearly deserved it. So let's compare it to 3 nominations that it easily should have beaten. Real quick though, first let's talk about the Elden Ring DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, the one that shouldn't even be on the list, and the one that's gotten the most controversy. It's a DLC expansion, so how can you even classify it as a game? As many others, I personally would recommend it being under Best Ongoing Game or under a new category for Best Expansion. Balatro is another game that I was shocked to see over Helldivers 2. I'm sure it's a fun game and all. I wouldn't take anything away from the developers. Also an indie game, which we'll discuss more of in a bit here. But would you vote for a poker game over Helldivers 2? Absolutely not. And last but not least, we have Astrobot. Listen, I personally am a fan of platformers. Crash Bandicoot and Spyro will always be some of my favorite games ever. And I understand Astrobot was a complete pleasant surprise. It surpassed expectations, much like Helldivers 2. But is it really comparable to Helldivers 2's immersive gameplay and unbelievable redemption arc? I don't mean to take anything away from the game itself, but it's not even close when comparing the two games' impact on the industry. Comment if you agree with me that Helldivers 2 deserved Game of the Year more than these games, an expansion. So now the question is, how do we fix a broken voting system like this? How do we ensure a masterpiece like Helldivers 2 never gets robbed or snubbed again in the Game Awards? Well, the way the games are nominated goes like this. A committee, which includes big names like Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, chooses the media groups who basically send their voting lists, and the games with the most votes get the nominations. It is literally 90% decided on by the media and 10% by fans. How is that fair at all? This is where indie games and developers get punished. This garbage voting system is designed to highly favor AAA games. Unfortunately, the media focuses on playing and writing about these big AAA games because that's the safe route to getting the most clicks, since that's what they believe their audiences are most interested in. It's completely driven by money. But then you could argue, well, isn't Balatro an indie title? How did it get a nomination? Well, I actually think this pick in itself is a slap in the face to Helldivers 2's indie studio, and even Palworld, the indie standout that made tons of noise. But guess who they pissed off and have had legal trouble with? Nintendo. See how much influence the AAA machine has over the awards? It's garbage. Nintendo would never let Palworld see the light of day on that list, even if it does deserve a nomination as well. You could also argue whether nominating Helldivers 2 would generate backlash as well because of the disaster with Sony. It was probably the only thing holding Helldivers 2 back in the media's eyes. But would it really create more backlash than nominating a DLC expansion? Could it have been that they didn't want 2 Sony games in the Game Awards? I don't know. Comment what you think, but I believe fans would have received a Helldivers 2 nomination much better than we have Shadow of the Erdtree. I think that's safe to say. And that's not to take anything away from it, but it's simply not a full game. It belongs in a different category. So how can we solve this broken system? What I propose is very simple. We, the fans, deserve to share at least 50% of the vote when it comes to the nominations. Otherwise, as we broke down, it's a AAA-dominated monopoly that punishes indie games. It's actually so simple that it's frustrating the change hasn't happened yet. So I'd encourage everyone to voice your opinions in the comment section and beyond to platforms like Twitter and Reddit so that we can make enough noise to initiate that change. But if we learned anything from Helldivers 2, it's that democracy will prevail if we stick it to the big shots like Sony. Next, I recommend you to watch this video, but don't forget to like and share this video with friends and comment your thoughts. Thanks for watching, everyone. I am a sentinel. This has been one.
What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? That you're frightening me. I want to live with me.
Democracy. Our way of life. Oh, hello. But freedom doesn't come free. Every moment we ruminate.
We went through this already.
Limb from limb. We must strike.
What is this? Was there a new?
Let's hear what some real people have to say about
Payday 3 Gold Edition.
I felt buttered up, not only by the trailers, but by the YouTubers and the press. And then rug pulled into realizing that I spent $90 on uninspired trash.
Hi, it's me, your favorite Payday 3 YouTuber that sounds like I was ordered from wish.gov. Payday 3 is not doing so hot right now, and that's because the players don't want to play it. Starbreeze even announced that they were looking for the fun, because if the game was fun, it would have players. Huh, that's weird, I've heard that before. And so today I am back with another video, another reason that makes Payday 3 not as fun as it should be, and therefore drives away the players. I don't think most people realize this, but the enemies of Payday 3 are the worst they have ever been in a Payday game. And I'm not talking about their HP or the damage they deal, I'm talking about the downgrades and downright stupid game design decisions that you paid for if you bought the game. How they behave and what they do is too often lacking thought and effort from the game designers, and this complacency leads to enemies that are not fun to fight. I often read and hear about how the game is too easy and not challenging enough, but who else is supposed to challenge you but the cops?
Yeah, I need to go switch down.
The server issues, maybe? I can see the lobby. Matchmaking error. I mean, think about it. What is the point of playing a PvE heisting game if the heists suck and the enemies suck? Not to mention, these two crucial elements have not received any love since day one. So what's the fucking point? Anyway, here's an entire video dedicated to just how terrible the enemies of Payday 3 really are.
Have some fun with Miku.
I'm about to die from a sniper.
Ah, snipers. They shoot.
They don't have the cowboy hat.
Oh, good angle, mister. The snipers of Payday 3 are a joke. I mean, look at this nonsense.
Sniper! Alright, people, here come the cops.
You can be the only target running in the open in front of two snipers and they will not shoot you. Actually, fuck running. I'm just gonna walk very slowly. Sorry, I couldn't contain myself, I was too bored. And why even bother shooting the snipers? You can just ignore them. They won't shoot you anyway for like 7 seconds.
Wow. Do you see the perpetrator? Yeah, I'm right here. Fuck around, get the whole local center for years. Rap snitches, telling on their business. Sit in the court and be their own star witness. Do you see the perpetrator? Yeah, I'm right here. Fuck around, get the whole label center for years.
There's rules to this. Starbreeze, the snipers of Payday are not complicated. All they have to do is shoot the players. In the previous Payday games, if a heister carelessly runs out of cover, they get shot. If they get out of cover but fail to see the sniper, they get shot. If they are too slow to kill the sniper, they get shot. Ow! It's an enemy that should punish carelessness and poor situational awareness, but reward a quick and deadly aim. This is basic game design. How do you fuck that up?
Sniper! Sniper!
And so instead of being punished and rewarded by this guy's game mechanics, we get a new guy who does nothing for an entire 7 seconds. To the point where you can just walk in front of him and nothing bad will ever happen. Does this look normal to you? Look at that, I can eat 3 health packs in front of the sniper and he will do absolutely nothing about it.
Man!
Also, if you get too close to the snipers, they will switch to their pistol, and they will deal absolutely no damage whatsoever. So not only were they bad with a sniper rifle, but now they put it away to use a pistol. Do I even have to explain this one? Does this look like good game design to you?
Yeah,
Shooting me with pistols, what am I going to do? This makes the sniper even less efficient than he already was. And that's not good. It's not a good game mechanic, it needs to go. It does not happen on every map, but the fact that it happens at all is mind-boggling. Why is it even there to begin with? Congratulations to Starbreeze, you have redesigned the sniper to be the most inefficient killer imaginable. Well done.
But I'm not done yet!
Even when the snipers shoot you with their sniper rifle, there is still one thing that is missing from them, and it's audio cues. For example, when a sniper in Payday 2 breaks your armor, it plays a sound you instantly recognize. Even that one is lame because I'm so confused. Despite the gunshots, the music, the voice lines, you hear that sound and you know exactly what it means. Surely this brand new $90 game should have this very basic element of game design, right?
That's it?
Yep, that's it.
That's the best way to crack it open.
The sniper just broke my entire armor and this is the sound it makes. Which is, by the way, just the generic sound that plays when anything breaks your armor.
Oh look. Hi. It's a sniper.
Did he hit you? It didn't hit me.
No.
I think he missed.
Hi.
He did not miss, in fact he hit me. But there was no sound effect, there was no sound cue to communicate this information.
Hey! Where's all my armor?
Which is pretty pathetic considering Payday the Heist and Payday 2 had those. I should be the first to know that a sniper shot me. Unfortunately, this is Payday 3, and so this is what we get. Snipers that no longer punish you for running out because they need 7 seconds to shoot you, that switch to their pistol instead of sniping you with a sniper, and that do not come with proper sound design. You know, they remind me of the snipers of Overkill's The Walking Dead, another Starbreeze flop. They're equally terrible at sniping, and they also switch to their pistol. Is this a coincidence? Do you think they, you know, whoop? Nah. I mean, fuck, was it so hard to make the sniper an enemy that you should care about? An enemy that is dangerous if you ignore him? It was working in the previous games. What happens? Anyway...
Next.
Now here's an enemy that does not need much to be much better. The taser.
You mean that?
No. The taser of Payday 3 cannot tase no more. Reason number 1, stop spawning him alone, holy fuck. The taser of Payday 3 always spawns alone. This makes no sense at all. He's a support unit, he's here to help the other cops take down the criminals. So where are the other cops? And so what happens when the taser is alone is that he's the only target. And because he's the only target, he gets shot quickly. And if he gets shot quickly, he doesn't have the time to tase the player. Do I really have to explain this? I don't know how the developers have come to the conclusion that they needed to spawn the taser alone, but that's just what they did. It's like if in Payday 2 the medic spawned alone. You know, the guy whose only ability is to support other units. It would not make much sense to not give him any units to support, right? Well, it's the same for the taser. When the taser is alone, he does not have a chance to tase somebody. But when he's surrounded by other SWATs, he has more time to charge up his ability. He has more time to not die and therefore tase the player. It makes no sense to spawn the taser alone because he dies alone before he can tase anybody. Alright, tase me. Reason number 2, weapon swapping. The taser has to put away his rifle and pull out a taser. And so with this newly introduced weapon swap, the developers have newly introduced another delay before the taser can use his ability. Now he has to play the animation and charge up the taser, and if maybe the stars align, perhaps, perchance, he can tase you. And even if the stars align, reason number 3, the AI. Look, I realize that it's easier said than done to make a good AI. What I'm saying is, if you remove the useless complications that you introduced, such as spawning the taser alone and making him switch his weapon, then maybe the AI would not have to juggle between them. Payday is already jank as it is, you don't have to add on top of that bad game design. So please, get rid of the weapon switching, I don't know, give him an underbarrel attachment. Whatever, it's the future, who gives a fuck. And please stop making him spawn alone. And I assure you, the taser will be far more efficient and you will have 2 less issues to deal with. After all, he was working fine over a decade ago when he didn't have all those gimmicks. The taser just tased. He didn't have to take 5 hours to do so, because his AI didn't have to deal with any of this nonsense. He saw you, he charged up, he played the sound cue, and he tased you, simple as. This was all figured out on the Diesel engine in 32 bits in 2011. Like I said in the beginning, the Zapper does not need much to be much better. His main ability still works. After all, it's the same from last decade. All he has to do is use it.
Oh wait.
Just go downstairs. I'm dying.
Oh fuck.
It's just that specifically for Payday 3, it is surrounded by newly introduced dogshit game design. If Starbreeze were to remove these gimmicks, I'm sure the Zapper could perform like a real taser and not like a completely useless moron.
Completely useless.
Did you notice anything weird with the cloakers lately? Huh. The Cloaker may just be the most butchered Payday enemy returning to Payday 3. Say goodbye to the sneaky infiltrator that hides in places and tries to ambush you and tries to strike you by surprise, and say hello to Pearl Harbor 1941. What the f? You see, in this game, the Cloaker no longer needs line of sight to charge a player, but they also no longer hide or sneak around. So what do? Well, they spawn, they charge, and they die. They endlessly rush to their death over and over again. They don't have a choice. That's the only game mechanic they have left. No, seriously, that's all they have left. Running and destroying deployables, sometimes, maybe. everything else is fucking gone.
Oh my
For
God.
example, the jump attack. You know, this. It could have been useful for the cloaker to have a jump attack when a running attack doesn't reach the player.
Miyu hasn't thought about this.
You can also throw out the window everything that made the cloaker a ninja cop. For example, using smoke grenades to make himself harder to see, harder to hit. And what about those sick dodge moves, right? And as I said in the beginning, they no longer hide, they no longer try to ambush you, they no longer try to sneak on you by surprise. They also removed what made him a cop, his gun. Because the cloaker is constantly running after somebody, and because he has to put his gun away to begin running, he's basically never seen holding it, let alone shooting it. Meanwhile, in Payday the Heist, a game from 2011, the cloakers use SMGs to shoot at the criminals, and that does not stop them from kicking my ass. In the same lifetime, they can use their gun and their feet. So why? Why did the cloakers of Payday 3 need so many downgrades? Is it maybe to accommodate for a sick new AI? One that is defeated by, I don't know, tables? If a cloaker begins charging you, and you go and stand on top of something, in theory, he should stop charging you and start blasting you with a gun. But he doesn't. And so it leads to this kind of nonsense.
Oh, she can get up you! She can get up you! Oh, shit.
Yeah. It looks like he wasn't programmed to check whether or not he should actually charge a target, whether or not he can actually reach a target that he's charging. This is sloppy, man. Much like in Payday 2, the cloaker of Payday 3 is not allowed to down a player that is currently being tased. But because he doesn't check for anything, I guess he's going to Jojo walk into me until I die. I mean, seriously, he's still charging me even though I am downed. I'm already dead, dude, fuck off. It's not a bug, it's a feature. A feature Starbreeze did not bother to implement to prevent this kind of stuff.
Miyu hasn't thought about this.
That would explain why this cloaker decided to charge me even though there was a fence between us. Or maybe they do have checks, I don't know, because I have this beautiful clip where the cloaker just stands still, gives up on life, and hits me with
There is nothing I can do.
And when he's not running after somebody, his AI completely shits itself. Where are you going, man? I am sure there is a logic behind it. I cannot make sense of it though. Like, what is bro doing? Oh, also, just one more thing. Starbreeze, where's the hole?
Goes right there. See, I drew it with a magic marker.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You don't have the technology to put holes in your level? Wow.
The quality is absolutely astonishing.
Look at that, you can put things on it.
Next generation shit.
This is next gen.
Cloakers have had a really big update. He now has 2
game mechanics because we nuked the fuck out of everything else. All they had to do was improve his reaction time a little bit, not downgrade the fuck out of him. Because of this
really big update,
they no longer behave like SWAT units with special abilities. They behave like zombies, and I don't think that was the intended effect. They are defeated by standing on tables like the zombies of Overkill's The Walking Dead. And because they no longer behave like SWAT units, they can no longer strike you by surprise. They can no longer punish you for not checking your corners. They cannot blend into the crowd, and suddenly, when you least expect it, it was fun and unexpected. It was requiring you to be aware of your surroundings. It was good gameplay. Why did it have to go?
Y'all got fun, we got abysmal dog shit.
Oh my god. And so instead we have this moron who comes out of the same squares again and again and runs in a beeline into the player again and again. There's no surprise, there's no unexpectedness to a guy who only does the exact same thing over and over again. The cloaker is predictable, his gameplay is sterile, and every encounter with him will always play the same. It's not fun. It doesn't take a genius to understand that, and yet...
Miyu hasn't thought about this.
Should Starbreeze rework the Cloaker to have more than 1.5 game mechanics and less of a sloppy AI, I think they could generally make him less stupid and more interesting. Less of a useless QuickTime event and more of a special unit with cool tricks. I think that would be an improvement, and that's the whole point of Operation Medic Bag, right? Improving the game, right? So the Cloaker should be on that list. Hi, quick note from the editing dungeon, apparently Operation Medic Bag is over. What do you mean it's over? Nothing has been fixed yet, nothing fucking works. Anyway, most of the objectives in Payday encourage the players to camp and defend them. This makes them much harder to kill for the cops. But what if the cops had a special enemy that could dislodge them from their fortified position?
You has thought about this.
And so the Nader was born. He throws gas grenades that inflict direct damage to your health if you stay in the glass. Yes, that is exactly what I meant. And so if you don't want to die from the gas, you have to leave the area. There's just one tiny problem though. Who the fuck is he gassing? There is no one there.
What are you smoking? What the?
50% of the time I see him, he's doing fucking nothing, and the other 50% he's using his grenade completely stupidly.